Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Bleach Chapter 541 review. This week's chapter of Bleach. This week's chapter of Bleach. This week's chapter of Bleach. Like, I have like 3 issues with this chapter. Like, and I truly do. Number one, and then let me get this out of the way, right? Number one is the fact that I feel that Zangetsu, well, I don't know who this guy is, but I feel that the Quincy entity inside Ichigo, like, relinquished too easy. Like, I felt like it was too easy. Like, oh yeah, here, like, here you go. Here's real Zanbakuto. Here it is, bam, on a silver platter. I'm like, what? Like, let me get into more detail later, right? I'll get into more detail later, but that's number one. To me, it was too easy. Number two, it's the whole, like, him becoming Shinigami, he didn't want to. Like, the Quincy entity inside Ichigo did not want Ichigo to harness and learn his Shinigami powers. And if he did, he says that he would have killed him by his own hands. What? Like, that's number two. And number three is number three is the fact that now we know why he did it. We don't know how he did it, and that really, like, that really grinded my gears. So I'm like, what the fuck? Like, because it was like, okay, so we now know why he wanted to suppress the powers. We now know that in seeing Ichigo train and, you know, bust his ass to hone his skills, his heart wavered, and instead of actually suppressing the powers of the Shinigami / Hollow, let's call it the Iranker, he actually promoted those same powers. But we don't know how he did it. That's the problem I have. Like, we know he did it. We know why he did it. We don't know how he did it. Like again, like, the problem I have is, why is it that the Quincy power was able to establish dominance over the Hollow, over the Iranker powers, and take it over? It's like, but wait a second. Like, since when? Like again, like, my theory was because of the fact that Ichigo is a human and Quincy's are human by nature. But that's my theory. Kubo himself has to be like, yo, like, here's the reason why. Here's the reason why the Quincy power was able to establish dominance over the Vassalori Iranker powers. But again, it was never really stated. Actually, it wasn't stated, period. We just know that he did it. So that, to me, like, that really grinded my gears. But the chapter, basically, like, there's a lot of reveals. Well, actually, is there a lot of reveals? Well, the first thing that we got from this chapter, right, is at the beginning, where basically Ichigo, he's contemplating as to why. Like, when Ichigo broke out of the Kirige, when he broke, I still like him. I don't care what niggas think. Niggas, oh, he's weird. He's like a clown. I don't care. I thought the dude was cool as shit. When he broke out of Kirige's jail, and then he was able to find, like, when he talked to Byakuya, and after he talked to Byakuya, he went to go and he found Yuabak. He was contemplating as to how he was able to find Yuabak, how he knew that location specifically, and he felt that he was quote unquote summoned there. And when he met Yuabak, he was instantly reminded of someone, and of course that was the inner Quincy who was posing as Zangetsu. The second thing we learn from this chapter of Bleach is that, okay, so it's not as if that Zangetsu does not equal Ichigo's Zanpakuto. More or less, This thing is not Zangetsu. Zangetsu is in fact his Zanpakuto, but it's just that this Quincy entity is of course not Zangetsu. He was posing as Zangetsu. The real Zangetsu is gonna show up hopefully in next chapter of Bleach, because we see again he literally he's like, here it is, and then it's like a floating in like the water, because like the moment Ichigo found out that he's not Zangetsu, the immediate downpour occurred in his inner world, meaning that his heart was in complete and utter chaos, and it was very quick. It was like snap, like so the flood commenced very swiftly, and again, like the source right there. So we're gonna find out what the real identity of his Zangetsu is, and I mean it may be like a whiter version of Ichigo, and then that sounds racist. It does, but it's gonna be I'm thinking that it's gonna be a new version. I'm gonna say a new version of Inner Hollow Ichigo. That's what I'm thinking. Like instead of him wearing the usual Shinigami getup, or instead of him wearing that getup with the horn visored mask, I think it's gonna be a new version of that. Like he's gonna have a new sword. He's gonna be like badass as fuck, and he's gonna be, of course, all white, because that's what he's all white. Like he's in the middle of the snow, like all white. And I mean, like that's the. Oh, by the way, I must point out one little quick thing. My bro, he told me a thing that he thought about, where Ichigo's Bankai, the 10th Zangetsu, its hilt looked like a swastika, and that's because Zangetsu at the time was the Quincy powers that emulated Yuha Bak. So I mean, possibly, but who knows? I mean, who knows what's going on in Kuo's mind? But you know, food for thought. And so that's the next thing. So that's number 2 right there. The whole entire Zangetsu thing, right? That about him not being the true Zangetsu, but Zangetsu is in fact his Zanpakuto. And then the third thing that was revealed in this chapter of Bleach is that all the times that Ichigo was saved in a dire situation where his life was on the line, Zangetsu at the time, posing as Zangetsu, always used his inner hollow. The inner hollow was the one who always saved him. And he points out almost all the times of reference. When he first fought against Kenpachi, and then we see Inner Hollow swinging around the sword. When he fought against Byakuya, and then he went, when the Hollow took over, he's like, step aside, Ichigo, and he takes over. Of course, that one when he's training with the visor inside of him, and then we see him actually fight against Hollow Ichigo in their Shikai and Bankai forms. When he fought against Ulquiorra, and then he got the whole blast through his chest, which still has yet to be explained, how he survived, and how Ichigo just took over and said, yeah, fuck it, and then he just goes full on horn mode. So all the times that Ichigo's been saved when he was in a dire situation has been because of the Inner Hollow. And Zangetsu has now fully unleashed the powers of Ichigo's true Zanpakuto Zangetsu, and he will now step aside. And so my automatic assumption is Mugetsu, like not Mugetsu, but not that particular form, but the state wherein which Ichigo was able to attain when he came out of the Dangai realm. That's what I'm assuming is going to occur. I mean, it may be different. I don't know. It may be more Vasta Lorde-esque, like Ulquiorra's kind of thing going on here, or maybe Grimjo's kind of thing. He may have like some weird armor clad going on. I'm not too sure. I have no idea. But again, I'm just speculating. I'm just making my assumptions here. But we're going to see, because according to Zangetsu, or according to the Quincy inside Ichigo, what he's been using right now has been a fraction of Ichigo's powers. It's been a fraction. So, I mean, we've seen Ichigo at his powerful, all right? We've seen the Mugetsu. We've seen that. So, I mean, is that form a fraction of his powers? Or what we've seen throughout the entire, what we've seen predominantly throughout the entire course of the series of Bleach, meaning his regular Shikai Bankai, was that a fraction of his powers? Or does he mean specifically the current Shikai and the current Bankai? Because, that's like a full bring mix to it too. So is that a fraction of his powers? Well, I don't know. But we'll see. Because now he's going to weaken his Zanpakuto. He's going to actually talk to Zangetsu, the real Zangetsu. Then we'll go on from there. But going back to what I was saying before. Alright, so those are 3 good things about the chapter. But the 3 things that I didn't like was, again... Okay, so let me get more into detail, alright? For me personally, I felt that, number 1, I felt that there was going to be like some kind of like inner struggle going on here in order to attain his Zanpakuto. I thought there was going to be like a fucking duke out or something. I thought that there was going to be a little more conflict. But he just submitted. It was like, oh, fucking here you go. I'm like, what? And I mean, listen, I understand the whole entire concept of, you know, he doesn't want Ichigo to get hurt. I understand that. He doesn't want Ichigo to suffer in battle, and that was one reason. That was part of the reason as to why he suppressed the Shinigami powers. Was because he didn't want Ichigo to go out and actually fight against Hollow and other creatures where he would actually get hurt, and so on and so forth. He didn't want to do that. But the thing about it is that, like, again, for me, it was just goddamn too easy. It was just like, you know, like, here it is. He's like, I'm more than happy to relinquish over my hold. I'm like, what the like, again, just too easy for me on a silver platter. There should have been more conflict. There should have been more struggle. Because when you think about it from a core standpoint, Quincy's are in direct conflict of Shinigami. So there should have been a lot more struggle. There should have been, you know, like, but no, there was none of that. So that's number 1. And I'm not a fan of that. Number 2, as I was saying before, alright? How did you do it, bro? How did you do it? I mean, we know why. And I thought that Kubo needs to explain that. He needs to explain that because until it's not explained, it's gonna grind my fucking gears to no end. Alright? He suppressed the powers. We know why he did it. We don't know how he did it. We don't know why the Quincy power was established as the dominant first one. And then it wiped out the Shinigami, or it opposed. It was able to pose as the Shinigami, as the Arankor powers. So, I want to know how you did it. And again, my initial assumption is because of A, he's a human, and Quincy's are naturally human, and B, the Sclavarai, which I explained in the last chapter review of Bleach. But again, I don't know. That's my theory. I could be wrong as fuck. So Kubo has to explain that. If he does not explain that, I am pissed. I am high hell to pissed. And then the last thing is, of course, how can you state that you're gonna kill Ichigo? You're in Ichigo. It makes no sense, bro. What the fuck? Like, you know, like, yeah, well, had you continued down the same path, I would have killed you. Or wait, hold on. What's the quote? The quote. Fuck, hold on. I'm gonna find it somewhere. He says something along the lines like, "I'm gonna destroy you." Fuck. I don't know. All right, I don't have it. All right, fuck it. It takes so long to load the page because, fuck it. All right, but either way, he stated that he was going to somehow destroy or kill Ichigo when he himself is a part of Ichigo. Which to me is like, no, there's no way. You can't even claim that statement. All right, it makes no sense. So, but maybe it was just him boasting. Maybe it was just words out of his mouth. I mean, we don't know. But I mean, fuck it. Just add that. So when it comes to the last one, that one can be excused because that one, those may have just been words to like influence Ichigo to like some direction. I don't know. But the other two, those are still problems, in my personal opinion, right? The fucking, you know, giving it and then never explaining how he did it. So, but the chapter overall, I mean, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of people, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of people gave it like a good chapter, like a good chapter rating, me, I'm gonna give it okay. I'm gonna give it okay because to me, there's a counterbalance, all right? There's reveals and yet there's stuff left out. And then there's things that don't make sense to me. And then it's just too easy. And but at the same time, there's, again, reveals, there's progression of the story. So, even though, yeah, I'm going to give it okay. I'm going to give it okay because there is a counterbalance, in my personal opinion, between the things that were negative and the things that are positive. So, but I'll leave it at that. So, King of Lightning, be sure to, of course, rate, comment, and Subscribe as always. Peace and have a nice day. We're not done yet. I found the page, and let me read this quote. And this is going to be for number 3 of the things that I found were negative. So, basically, the quote is, and I follow, becoming Shinigami means risking life and limb and always exposing yourself to numerous perils. You experience pain and suffering, and you would eventually die by my very hands. Now, when he says die by my very hands, maybe he means Yuha Bak himself, like the real physical Yuha Bak. Maybe it means that Yuha. But the problem with that is that, like, do you know, like, is there a connection between the inner Quincy of Ichigo and, like, no, and when I say a correction, I mean like a direct link between the inner Quincy of Ichigo and Yuha Bak. And, like, are they communicating? I don't know. Like, how would you specifically know that you would eventually die by Yuha Bak's hands? Or, again, he could mean what I said beforehand about how the inner Quincy was going to somehow kill Ichigo himself. So, that one, like I said before, that one can be thrown to the wayside just because it may have been words, it may have meant something else about the real Yuha, we're not too sure. But the other 2 things, those stay. So, now I'm done. Rate, comment, subscribe. Have a nice day.